Okay, so as everybody knows, what we're doing in our events now is we are picking a business topic that most everybody hopefully can engage with. But if you want to engage, like I said, use the raise hand and you can comment on it. Today's topic is actually going to be sponsored by Louise Harris with Last Research and Editing. She's an I Refuse to Fail partner. And the topic today is goals, and are they important? Do you set goals? And if so, how do you set goals to make it work best for you? So I'm going to open it up if anybody wants to comment on that, or I will start the conversation, whichever you want. But just use the raise hand, please. And okay, I don't see anybody's hand up yet. So basically, I'll start off. I used to never set goals. I always felt that my goal would always be to do better than I did yesterday or do better than last year, but I didn't set parameters on myself or set specific goals. And then I started using the SMART goal system where, everything, should be specific, measurable, achievable, relatable, and time based. And basically what it does is it kind of keeps you on track and you can revisit those. And I think one of the biggest problem I think that people make when they're setting goals is they don't make them achievable. They make them too difficult. And so they end up not achieving it. And so they don't do it. So I believe in setting mini goals. And then when I say mini, I don't mean multitudes. I'm talking about small. Attain that one and then just keep going up and up and up, and you're more likely to reach your final goal. And I think it has a whole lot to do on the success of your business. So I see that Santa would like to make a comment. So Santa, if you will unmute and make your comment.
I agree with that, Carl, but it's another way of holding yourself accountable. We always got too much distraction going on in our world. This meeting, that meeting, this on Facebook, that on there, whatever. And if you set goals, it keeps you accountable on trying to obtain those goals, achieve those goals, but don't set a goal that is not reachable. But you want to set a goal that you have to work hard to achieve. And then you've got another proud moment that you can say, hey, I reached that goal. There's the satisfaction of achieving accomplishment. And that's important because if you don't achieve accomplishment, you're always going to knock yourself down.
I agree with you. And not only that, but it's not a deal breaker if you don't reach your goal. Okay. You may have to adjust your goal. You might have to, reset, the parameters of the goal. But if you don't have something to reach for, it's kind of like trying to get to the other side of the country without a GPS, or a roadmap to get there. I mean, you have to have a goal to go so far before you get gas and, know when you're going to get the gas. Otherwise you might run out. So you just have to set realistic goals, I think. Michael?
Yeah, I worked with a lot of people who, although the SMART acronym I think works really, really well, and I've used it a lot myself. I don't know, for some reason, some people bristled at that or they didn't use it, didn't find it very applicable. And so I shifted at times and working with some people to something a little simpler. That was the XYZ approach, which is basically from X, that's the current reality, to Y, that's the future desired state, by Z, by what time frame. It basically encompasses most of the same elements of the SMART goal, but it does provide a little bit different, simpler format, XYZ. Okay, I think I can get that. I found it helpful for a lot of people that I worked with.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good idea. Because you don't want it to be complicated, number one, because if it's complicated, you're just not going to do it. I mean, I know that's the way I am, right? And because I believe in the KISS principle. And so I like keeping things as simple as possible. And and I really think that now that's smart, Michael. That's good information. I appreciate that. Laura?
Yeah, and to kind of tag on what you all are saying and Santa, Papa John there, to me, goals helps also give you a direction because we can get so busy just doing things and we feel like we're working hard, but we're not accomplishing anything. But when you have a goal, it gives you a direction, something to obtain and to reach for. rather than just a bunch of busy work. And I always think it's important to celebrate your wins. You know, even if you've accomplished something small, make sure you take time to accomplish it. And, you know, to celebrate that you accomplished it. Otherwise, a lot of people do give up on them.
No, I agree. That's another good point. And I'll tell you what, if you have ever used a coach, you know, their job really is to keep you accountable. So what they're doing is kind of setting goals for you. Okay. But if you're not using a coach, who's going to do it? You're going to do it. So if you don't make yourself accountable, you know, the shotgun approach usually doesn't work. You need to stay focused, and that helps you stay focused. If you don't want to set goals, get a coach, because that's what, if you get a good coach, their main job is to keep you accountable, keep you on track, and make sure you reach certain plateaus so that you get to the next level. But you know, I've told many people that as a consultant, that if you're going to self-coach, that you need to set, I feel you need to set goals and try to accomplish them. And if you can't do that, then I refer them to a business coach. So that's my feeling on it. Okay, James. Oh, you need to unmute.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I just wanted to tag onto that. It's definitely important. And tag onto the first one is to say that, you know, don't forget about the journey, right? So don't be so focused on X and Y that you forget about Z, because the journey is where it's at. And I find that, you know, rewriting down your goals periodically throughout, even if it's on like a whiteboard or some sort, what I like to do is I like to wipe it all off and then restate them and see if they're still the same goals. Because like you said before, they're going to change, right? So it's very important that you celebrate the wins, celebrate the journey, and restate your goals throughout.
Very good. Yep, you're right. I actually, since it's been quite a few years now, I actually have on my calendar a reminder every 3 months to have a talk with Carl. And what I mean by that is I talk about what I'm doing in business, what I'm doing personally. So it's not just business. I do kind of an audit on myself to see what I've accomplished, what I haven't accomplished, what I like, what I don't like, what I need to pivot, what I need to change, you know, to stay motivated. And basically what it does is it's a self-analysis that you have to be very, very honest with, because the only person you're lying to is you if you lie about it. So basically, if you can be honest with yourself, you know, and not cheat, you'll find that it will help keep you on track. But you know, it's a lot easier to make excuses than it is to make the right changes. And so it's so much easier for people to make excuses of why something didn't happen. It's their fault. It's the economy. It's this, it's that, the other. So it doesn't mean you're not going to adjust your goals, but I think it's good to do an evaluation. I do it every 3 months. Some people need to do it every 30 days, maybe, I don't know. Or maybe they feel they don't need to do it but once a year. But I think the more often you do that, I think the better it is for your success. Jeff?
I think mine was more like every morning at one point. One of the sayings that I learned from Alex Hormozy, I've kind of taken to heart. He said that losers define themselves by what's happened to them. Winners define themselves by what they made happen. And I've tried to bring that to be my mantra, simply because I've had a lot of crap happen to me, and I'm just tired of it. I got to make my changes in my head. One of the things that I have done, I don't know if this will help, but I'm in sales, been in sales forever. And instead of saying, oh, I want to get a new customer, that's great. But I got to keep track of my KPIs to figure out what it takes to get that new customer. So my goal is not the new customer. My goal is to make X number of presentations out of X number of calls, out of X number of conversations, et cetera, and keep that part of it going. So the goal can be broken down into something you can control. Because getting 10 customers this week, that sounds like a great goal. It might be darned impossible, but if you can break it down to what do I need to do to make that happen, and set yourself accountable. Very good, James. The accountability part is a big part of it. Make yourself accountable for what's got to happen on that. And Michael too, sorry. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, no, that's good. Bill?
Yeah, I'd like to tie into it something Jeff just shared, and that is that the ability to, you know, just pick goals at random, unless they're aligned with your long-term strategic outcomes that you're after, I used to call them objectives when I learned how to do this as a consultant for an international trade association. You end up picking, the flavor of the month. And I used to tell people, if you remember your physics classes, which I flunked, by the way, I'll be admitting that, okay? But I do remember some things. And one of the things was force vectors. And if you have force vectors that line up one after another, they lead directly to an outcome or an objective that a bigger objective you want to accomplish. But if you let them all go off from the same point at the same time, you have an explosion, and you know what gets fried in the result of that. So the alignment of your goals to your larger objectives is critical. And then the goals are really just kind of like waypoints along your journey to your objectives. Your action plans become where, like Jeff says, how many and what kind of activities in each of the key areas am I going to get involved in? And I find if you do that, you can have a controllable hierarchy of thinking about the big picture. I want to increase sales by a certain percentage. But to do that, I need to recruit 10 new sales reps. I need to do certain things with product development or whatever. And usually it's only about 2 or 3 areas in a company that you need to look at. And then you break those down into time framed, who does what by when steps. And if you put those hierarchies of that framework together, you have an amazing good control over what seems to be to many people uncontrollable. And that's my little input for that.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Anissa?
And just to piggyback off of what Bill said, goals are great. We can all make goals. However, if you don't have the tasks and in hand, it's never going to go anywhere. Just because you have a goal, that's great, but you have to have the tasks to back them up. And it has to be consistent tasks in order for you to achieve your goal. So consistency and creating those tasks.
I agree. I think that comes into the M on SMART work for making it measurable. You have to know what it is you're going to do about it to get to those goals. Make it strategic, and so no, that's all a part of it. But no, I agree 100% with you there, Anissa. Jeff, did you have another comment?
Yeah, it goes along with the goal setting and the steps that you're taking. In this world of acronyms that we live, I just found out what KPI was, key performance indicators, and I thought it was keep pushing, idiot, because that's the way I decided that's the way I needed to push. So anyway.
Yeah, that's right. And it does stand for that, Jeff. But anyway.
I'm sorry, did you raise your hand, sir?
Yeah, I did. My hand's always raised. Thank you. But anyway, okay, if anybody else has a comment on it, I think we've pretty much covered goal setting. If anybody has a final comment on it, I'll allow it. But if not, I'm going to stop the recording and I will put this on our YouTube channel, and we'll see who is sponsoring our question of the day next week. So thank you very much for participating, and I'm going to shut down the recording.